Warning. This is a show where we talk about our favorite characters in media, so this may be full of spoilers throughout the entire episode. We apologize if that's not quite your thing, but we do hope that you enjoy anyway.
Hello, it's us. My God. Spent all this time and we're all still in the wrong order on the screen. Holy shit. I mean, there, it's gotta, I just move people around. It always corresponds to where the text is, because it makes the most sense. It's like, that asshole in that corner, he voted for that. Right. Spoiler alert there. We're all at that asshole in the corner. um, yeah, it's us. We're back. Um, Apologies for the delay. We've had some health issues completely centralized right here. Um, but I'm feeling good. I want to rank some books. We actually decided to rank books like 4 weeks ago. Um, and are only just able to get around to it now. So, look at them. Let's see. So yeah, to introduce everybody back again, I'm Ian. Hi. Uh, to my this side is Sean. I mean, if you decide that that's how it is, then support, support. Yep, he too. He makes good drinks. To my below side is Brian, and to the sort of diagonalish direction over that way, we have our guest for this week, Ark. Yep, it's true. It's true. You got to really lean back. All right. And yeah, so tonight we're gonna rank us some books. We were not very specific about what kind of books or when we read them or anything like that. I do know that we did agree that audiobooks are acceptable because it's still a book just because someone read it to you. I mean, a lot of great like what was the first book you read? Okay, cool. What was the first book? What was the first book someone read to you? A lot earlier than that first book. You know, still a book, still happen. What is it? The chubby little puppy? One of those. One of the. It's something that pokey little puppy. That classic little golden book. I definitely never read that to myself, but it was definitely read to me. Anyway, okay, okay, yeah, I will preface this and also pretty much agree. Um, I mostly stuck to that sort of rule. Um, there is an exception in my list. Maybe one series may be so big and so large that it got multiple entries. Who's to say? But, but well, you might not though, but you might. So, who wants to go first? All right. Ooh, thank you, Rush. Number five. So dark. Is it is it the dictionary? Oh my god. That nope, 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 nope. That's fine. That one deserves to be that size. Um, I mean, there we go. Let's just get that in the corner there. Yeah, this is a fine answer. It's a silly answer. I'll say, but yeah, do I own three copies of this book? Yes, I do. Well, because I bought a copy for myself. Ark bought a copy, and somewhere along the line we ended up with a third one. Um, so no, yeah, yep, but or whatever, yeah. So yeah, but yeah, you're right. Like it's a book that I've reread, opened often, um, and yeah, yeah, yeah. I got, yeah. Well, I think this is why it's number five, isn't it? It's yeah, it's okay, yeah. Great index or great book, horrible index. Um, I do recall a live Acquisitions Incorporated game, and someone asked Chris Perkins, one of the men who wrote this book, to look up a rule, and he's like, "Well, if I look in the index, it tells me to go to this listing, and then that listing tells me to go to another listing." Yep. one of one of mine definitely had a picture of me with my head in a ceiling. Just kind of fell out one day. I'm like, oh yeah, that's been in there, isn't it? Oh yeah, 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 we got your picture. It's cool. All right, all right. My number five is a Star Wars book, and I'm gonna put this out there. For those of you who don't know, there are a lot of Star Wars books, and in my youth, I kept up with most of them. Like almost all of the ones that came out, I was that guy who went to my local bookstore and you know, like with my allowance and bought whatever the new paperback was. And what you got? What you saying? It is not Shadows of the Empire, which is a good. It's a good book. It's a good Star Wars book because I thought, now look, I love the concept of Shadows of the Empire. I love the concept that they did everything about making a movie. They made action figures, video games, a novelization, everything you need to do to make a movie, except make a movie. Yeah, that was Legacy of the Force. That was a whole toy line. But yeah, they had actors cast as characters from it. Like it was good shit. It was awesome. But no, this was a book called Star Wars Vector Prime. Nope, nope, it's normal size. Um, now what I now I picked this one out of all of the Star Wars. It is, yeah, it's R.A. Salvatore. It's the only Star Wars that he's ever written. So it's notable in that regard. It was also the first book in the New Jedi Order series, which was kind of contentious because it killed off a lot of Star Wars characters. Um, a lot of them. And this book kicked it off. And spoilers for those who haven't read it and don't quite realize that this book isn't canon anymore, but they killed Chewbacca in this book while saving children. it this was the first book that I cried reading. Like I read that bit where like Chewie's literally just tossing kids onto the ramp of the Millennium Falcon. Yeah, his end scene, like these aliens, they've decided to crush it, to kill a planet by throwing its moon at it. And Chewie's tossing these kids, he's saving them, and then it's too late. And the Falcon's got to go. One of Han and Leia's kids is at the control, so he flies away, and Chewie is left on the face of this planet, just giving this moon the finger and screaming at it. And I'm just like, oh shit, they did it. they had the like, they had this balls to do this. Tearing up right now. Um, So yeah, the rest of the series it got weird at a lot of points. It ended up being like a 15 book series, which was a slog to get through towards the end, and like a lot of big book series, it just ends. Eventually, whenever it got time to do the last book, they just paid somebody just like just wrap this shit up, please. I don't I would say in this case I don't know who reads this book. I don't know who it's narrated by, but hearing that scene narrated by someone who knows what they're doing is probably pretty soul crushing. Um, pretty probably get you going. But um, range, range, touch, target, self. So I don't know if the rest of the book is worth getting on Audible because it's really just a setup. It's there to set up the this new big bad to fill the Star Wars. Yeah, exactly. Like it was big in the moment, um, but like yeah, like now, maybe not. Okay, good, good. All right, Sean, what is your number five? The dictionary. Yeah, it was Rankin and Bass at their finest. Wasn't worth three movies. Would have made a solid two. Yeah. Yep. We'll make more money. Like it's okay. We can spread it out. The last book covers 10 the last movie 10 pages. Nope, just the last 10 pages. Like you guys know, like you read it. Bilbo blacks out right when the Battle of Five Armies starts. And he wakes up and Gandalf is like, "Well, you can go home now." Oh yeah. Oh yeah, like half your dwarf friends dead. Yeah. 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 I agree. Those were a good balance film to movie. Use it or lose it. Oh, my number four. My God. All right. So my number four, like talking about movies versus the book, how that eternal argument just goes back and forth. Some cases it's very clear that one's better. In some cases it's very clear the other's better. This is so far in my life the only movie and book that I have seen that was an almost even keel match. What do you think it is? What do you think it is? Okay. 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 This was also the first book that I was gonna go see the movie. I don't remember what when it was, but I was gonna go see the movie. I had a day to go see the movie, and I had borrowed the book from my dad, and I was just speed reading through that thing so I could finish the book before the movie. Brian. Okay. Okay. I see where Sean's going with this. Um, no. The movie is way better. The movie's way better than the book with the Bible. I like, yeah, no, I like your reasoning with that. Because indeed, when I read Dune as a child, I did borrow it from my dad. Absolutely true. So I like where your logic's going there. However, it ain't. It is. Mine is. It is The Martian. Um, and yeah, like I think they just did like the book is like if and so I can say this, if you've seen the book, you've almost read the movie. Wait. Yes. I can say that. Yeah, if you've seen the movie, yeah. If you've seen the movie, you've almost read the book. And vice versa. Um, like there are a few lines and there's like some stuff they had to trim out of the book to make time in the movie, and there are some changes to characters and things like that for some reason. But but yeah, the potatoes are still there. There are a lot of great lines like I stole a vehicle. Um, it is not a land vehicle technically. So I am a pirate, and I am in space, so I am officially a space pirate. um, yep, and like just it's such a witty, clever book. And I really enjoyed reading it. Like it was at the end, I was both trying to speed through it to so I could watch the movie, and because I was like, no, honestly, like how do they friggin' pull this off? How do they get this asshole home? And yeah, like they don't. He dies. Does because no, no, the movie basically ends the same. So yeah, um, yep, and yeah, like just there's that line still sticks with me. Rich Purnell is a steely-eyed missile man. It's still just a great line, you know. Just and yeah, it's just full of great little one-liners. That a lot of books that I've read before and since just don't have. So yeah. Oh yeah, like actually, and the movie's the same basic deal. It's just like yeah, you just get to see, hear Matt Damon say him to you, which is great. It's Matt Damon. All right, that is true. Is it Matt Damon? Oh, oh, okay, okay. Will Wheaton's okay. Unpopular opinion. Will Wheaton was the kid on Star Trek Next Generation 30 years ago, and that's where he plateaued. The board game thing. Okay. Like I said, I mean, I don't think he's. I don't think he's. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think he sucks. You know, like I don't think he's a, cancelable or anything. I'm just like, he's that kid that. I mean, yep. He can find me. He's got time. So, all right. Yeah, you're number four, Sean. Clash of the Titans. Ah, okay. Yeah, that is true. Angles and demons. Evils and weevils. Ooh, that's a good pick. Oops. You could get it on Audible. It do. Oh, that's all right. Hmm. I, I I've never heard of that one. I mean, there's a lot of books I've never heard of, but cool. Yeah. All right. We are, which is you. Mm.
I think I only got through book 10. No, I did 11. There's a 12 and a 13 out now, so
That's a lot of books.
it is. But it was really good. Really enjoyed it. I don't know if it's ever going to actually end. It's one of those like TV series that just keeps going. But it was fun listening to it, so definitely made my list.
Sweet.
Sweet. Yeah, I like. I'm horrible at trying out new books. Just like I'm horrible at trying out any new media. Really, I'm just like for some reason I feel like what if I don't like it and I lose my time? Instead, I'll just watch the same thing I've watched a million times instead, which is equally a waste of time. But like, I like hearing about like, especially in sci-fi. Like, there's a lot of great sci-fi out there that I'll just never touch because I'm just like,
Right.
what if it's bad?
Well, I will recommend this one.
Do it.
Alright, I like it. Ark, you're number 3.
Number 3 for me is Good Omens.
Oh, nice.
That's the one I just did. We want the right one. There we go. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. So, Good Omens. It's a good book. I hadn't gotten around to reading it until after the series came out, so one of those book newbies. But I really, really, really like that style of writing. It's just a funny, witty, weird book. Like there's a lot of humor and just weirdness. Like it's the best way to describe it, I guess. And the characters are fun and the story's good.
Nice.
Yay.
Yeah, it is.
Sweet.
It's exactly the combination that you would hope a Neil Gaiman, Terry Pratchett book would be.
Yep.
Great British humor.
Indeed.
Absurdity, that's the word. Humor and absurdity. It's my favorite genre.
I love absurdity.
Stepping back a bit to Brian's previous The Girl with All the Gifts, did you know that there's a second book in that series?
Yep. And the first book was made into a movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. So if you want to read the book and then watch the movie, you can do it. I still haven't seen the movie.
Well, I'm going to get both books, so.
Do it. Yeah, it's like The Boy on the Bridge or something is the second book. Yeah. I haven't read that one yet. Or listened to it.
Like I said, I'll give you my Audible. I'm getting them all. I'm doing it.
Do it. All right. So my number 3, going from one book about biblical stuff, is another book about biblical stuff. This is Lamb by Christopher Moore. This was a book that was recommended to me when I first started working at Walden Books by a coworker. Yeah, way back. And I read it. It's the whole premise is it's the gospel according to Biff, Christ's childhood pal. So
I love the sound of that.
So this is the same guy who wrote Fluke and The Stupidest Angel, amongst others. Lamb is probably his most popular book. But it basically it tells the life of Jesus, referred to as Joshua, and like the missing 20 years of his life from the Bible. And it's really funny. It's very cheeky. The guy's name is Biff because that roughly translates the sound of someone smacking him in the side of the head because he was kind of an idiot and kind of an asshole.
That's
Yeah.
great.
They go to the east and they study kung fu and stuff, amongst other things. And the whole time, he's been resurrected by an angel named Raziel. So Biff keeps referring to the present day occasionally because he's been locked in a hotel room and he can't leave until he finishes writing this book. Meanwhile, Raziel's watching soap operas and wrestling in the hotel room while he's trying to write. So it's a really funny book, but it's also got a lot of good feel-good moments too. And I'm not a particularly religious person. In fact, most people will probably find this a sacrilegious book, but it's very funny, very cheeky, good-humored stuff.
I do really like in the little synopsis blurb. Verily, the story Biff has to tell is a miraculous one filled with remarkable journeys, magic, healings, kung fu, corpse reanimations, demons, and hot babes. It's just that sounds incredible.
Yeah, looking this up, I love stuff like this. I mean, I love anything that tries to poke a little bit of fun into religion.
That's something super serious,
some fun like this, and especially looking at it, it's trying to explain some of the stuff that happened in the lost years of Christ when he jumps in the Bible from 12 to 30. It's just whoa, what happened? Clearly, he was chilling with Biff.
Yeah, Biff was there.
They're wandering the world. And it's not really a spoiler because it's in chapter 1. To kind of give you a taste of the book. It starts off with Biff saying, when I first met the savior of mankind, we were little kids, and Joshua's brother was killing a lizard, and then Joshua would put the lizard in his mouth and it would come back to life, and then they would just repeat the process.
Oh God.
And after the third time, Biff was like, I want to try. And Joshua looked at him and said, which part?
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
So spend a credit on this one. It'll be worth it. It's really funny.
Nice.
So that's my number 3.
Sweet.
Right. My number 3. I thought about this one for a good long time, and I'll preface this one by saying it is a Warhammer 40K book.
Okay.
And so the fact that a 40K book about Space Marines and stuff ended up making it this far up the list at all is kind of notable about how good it is. Black Library has hundreds of titles. I sold off at least 50 books to Bull Moose a couple of years ago that I was I read it once. I only need to I only need to hear about how chain blades roar so many times. So I kept a handful of good ones.
I'm surprised it's higher than a Star Wars book.
I know. But
that must mean
Ian did say
there's another Star Wars.
That there was
book.
one series that had duplicate entries. It's another Star Wars. So which one's Dune? Is Dune even on here? I know you really like Dune. Did Dune not make your list?
Be on here.
Dune's got to be 2, and then a Star Wars book is number 1. Anyways, go on with your number 3. I'm sorry.
But no, it is a 40K book for my number 3. It's on a number 3 because it's also one of the only... I don't reread books crazy often, but this one I did bother to actually go back and reread. And for me, it is Soul Hunter.
Soul Hunter.
Soul Hunter.
which is actually
You
about
More than
gotta
meets
be
the
loved.
eyes.
it's actually
Soul
about a
Hunter.
group of Chaos Space Marines, the bad guys.
Soul drinkers.
No, it's the Night Hunt, the Night Lords. There we go. It's about a
It
band.
does another Night Lords book?
This is the first of the Night Lords books. I think you've actually
Maybe-
read this.
Maybe this is the one I've read.
I think so. Yeah. This is the one that introduces the Night Lords, the Soul Hunter band. So yeah, they're the bad guys of the series, and these guys are all murderous psychopaths, even above and beyond what normal Space Marines are. But it is neat in that these are like that group of Chaos Space Marines are they're utter nihilists. They only do shit for themselves. They know they have no future. They know their past is garbage. Yet they don't worship demons like a lot of the bad guys in 40K do. They're like, fuck demons. Gives a shit. We're murderous superhumans clad in armor. Like, what do we need demons for? We shoot people and kill.
They worshipped fear, not
Yeah.
demons.
And it's just, for a book about a bunch of murderous psychopaths, it is actually, like, just really interesting, and it was a really fun read. And it's the start of a trilogy within the greater 40K publications. And I stuck with it all the way through. And yeah, this one was one of the few books that got multiple reads from me, and I think the only 40K book that I've ever read more than once.
All right. Should I audible it?
It's pretty good. I would say give it an audible.
If you like 40K, yeah.
I don't know anything about 40K.
That's fine. Like, because like I'll be honest, like I own an army of Space Marines. I've read a lot of these books. I've never played a game of 40K in my life. Don't plan on it. But I like the lore.
Mm.
The lore is just really neat. That dystopian, what is the point of this future?
Mm.
And I've just really enjoyed it, and this was a really nice look into it for me.
Nice. Well, it's on my list, so maybe I'll grab it.
Is this the one where, like, one of the Night Lords wakes up in the future, like in a cave or something?
I think so.
Okay, there's another Night Lords book that I read.
Maybe
it
you've
was
gone through
before
all
this
three.
one.
It's been a while since I've read the other two, so maybe it was like one of the sequels. I'm not sure. I know that the main character in this has visions, so maybe that was it.
Hmm. No, this one is like all about a dude like living in a cave, and he wakes up and he realizes like this other dude has become like a demon prince, and is like, that's sacrilege.
Oh no, that's not this one. No.
Okay.
All right. That brings us to number 2.
Starting with Ak.
Number 2 for me is a classic. And that classic is called The Chronicles of Narnia: The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Yep.
I love me a fantasy book. I love that C.S. Lewis made a persona for Jesus. We got a Jesus theme going on here, whether or not we like it. The Narnia series is just good fun. I do enjoy it. The end.
The end.
Would also sell my soul to the Ice Queen for mediocre sweets.
Is that what happens? I've never read it.
Kinda, yeah. And then she makes fun of the kid for it.
Then she makes fun of the kid for it. Yeah. The guy actually, he doesn't sell his soul. He sells out his family. It's fine though, because Lion Jesus forgives everybody.
Well, that's good.
Spoilers.
Yeah. In case you
Well, I
wondered what
know-
he might have done.
I know the lion is Jesus.
Yes. Love a good Jesus Lion. Also, it's one of those movies that really, like, makes me watch the new Lion King, like, quote unquote live remake and go, why didn't they make the lions emote? Because, like, Aslan's a realistic lion and they make him emote and it's great. But Favreau's new Lion King movie, they're just soulless.
Because they used real animals as
Yeah,
live
yeah, no,
action.
I know. Yeah, it's just well, that's part of it. They were like, we wanted to make it really real. It's like, yeah, but
You did mocap on a
didn't.
bunch
You
of
messed up.
bored lions.
let the brow move. Just give me something
A
to work
little,
with.
just a little, you know.
Just a little, yeah. And Aslan's actually, yeah, in the movie adaptation, yeah, he's animated very realistically, but he emotes. Thank you, Jesus Lion. But anyway, yes, the book is good. The series is good. It's great. And Jack is making me sad. Dropping the truths in chat here.
Jekka knows.
So the answer is never leave Narnia. Never go
Never
back.
leave Narnia. Yeah. That's
What were
true.
you
Never get
thinking?
old.
Never get old. Because
Idiot
never
kids!
Go back.
Don't go back through the wardrobe.
Dummies.
God.
You had such
I
a good
also-
thing going on.
Runner up in that series would have been The Magician's Nephew. I like that how that book just like outlines the creation of Narnia and explains why there's a lamppost in the middle of it. It's pretty badass. The reason will surprise you.
Yeah, I don't remember a lot about
Ooh.
this series. I do remember reading it when I was younger, but a lot of it didn't stick with me.
Yeah, the later books are a blur. Like I read the 7th book, but I couldn't really tell you what happens.
There were 7? Okay, I didn't read that many.
I had the set.
Yep,
All right.
that's my number 2. I love me a good fantasy book.
You're a fantasy lover.
Where are we going, Brian?
What
are we
a
doing?
nerd. So this one, I'm pretty sure none of you have read.
Oh.
Almost guarantee it.
Oh, that means we have read it.
No, it doesn't. I would be shocked if you have read this book. This one's technically a textbook. This is a book that I would gladly reread. It originally was called The Gradus ad Parnassum. Translation roughly is the study of counterpoint. So it's how to write music in counterpoint
Okay, now
by Johann Joseph Fuchs.
you...
His name is Fuchs.
You'll be surprised to know,
F-U-X.
Brian. You'll be really surprised. I haven't read that. No.
Yeah, that's the one. I was like, what is this? It looks
Yeah.
old.
It is very old. So this was written like in the Baroque era. Yeah, get fucks. It's a good read. That's what I'm saying. Jekka, you're calling me a nerd for picking a textbook. That's right.
I don't
I
think
did it.
that's what that was.
I think that's exactly what that is.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's just a book about counterpoint, but there is kind of a narrative to it. Like the way it's written, it's written like a student asking a teacher on how to write music, and the teacher responds like, "Oh, well, this is how you do it." So it's kind of weird. But yeah, if you're trying to learn how to write melodies using theory and like harmonies with theory, this is a fantastic book to get started on. Like you don't even need to take a class. If you read this and you take the time to practice it, you will learn how to write like decent Baroque style melodies. And then you can break the rules after. It's kind of how it goes.
All right. Should I get this on Audible?
No. Because it's gonna I doubt it would be on there because there's gonna be diagrams of like sheet music in the book that you have to follow. I have no idea how they're gonna talk about that in audio form.
Well, if they can read the D&D book, they can figure it out. They're smart kids. They're smart kids
Maybe.
over there at Audible.
Maybe. Yeah. So yeah, there you go.
Nice.
All right.
It's a good choice because it's obviously informed a lot of who you are and what you do, and it sounds like a really cool read. Just spooky for me because I wouldn't understand any of it.
Hmm.
I want to
Wow.
have Tom read it to me.
Oh no!
As written by Tom,
But no, he's well.
or as read by Tom.
I was gonna put him to it because he's not here to say I don't want to do that. I mean, I would love for a friend who knows what they're doing, like yourself,
Mm,
to read it to me.
somebody who understands music.
Please teach me how to music.
Explain to me the words of fucks.
I think that's it. Yeah.
All right, Ian. What's your number 2?
All right, my number 2 is one of this was a book that I read in school, in grade school, so way back. And I didn't realize this until later life, but it was one of the first dystopian novels that I'd ever read. But reading it as a little kid, not understanding what a dystopian society was, it was just a neat story that kind of just had an ending. But when I reread it in later life, I'm like, this story is dark as shit. Wow,
Garfield.
it is Garfield. It's one of those long, wide. Yeah, you got them through the Scholastic
They
Book
Acceptable
Club.
Garfield, yeah.
No, this is also one of the few books that I've read and enjoyed that had one of those like holographic medals on the cover. You know that not a Pulitzer or whatever. There was like a million of those. It is The Giver. Copy that I had that medal right on it. This looks like the old man staring at the medal that the book won.
Yes, good job, me.
Well, this one isn't Dune, and it's not Star Wars. What is happening?
I know.
What is happening here?
It's like I made this
You-
list a couple weeks ago to screw with you.
You are an agent of chaos, sir.
Yeah. Who even are you?
Yeah,
Um,
we have
yeah.
a system here.
Yeah, this is a book about a kid who lives in a village that is highly ordered and highly regimented society. Like you grow up with a bunch of foster parents that you don't know are foster parents.
And they give you things.
They don't. They actually don't give you shit.
What?
And when you hit like 12 or 13 or whatever, you learn what your job for the rest of your life is. And then you apprentice into it and then do it. And this kid, who is a very special kid, realizes that he is going to be the recipient of all of the memories of the things that society doesn't have anymore, like music and color.
Oh,
And over the course of the novel, the kid realizes that the village that he lives in is an authoritarian dystopian hellhole where they kill unwanted babies because they're not perfect.
Sweet.
And so and it just and it has an ending that is open, that is intentionally vague. The author Lois Lowry didn't write a sequel until like 10 years later, so left a lot of people like really wondering like what happens to the kid. Just, is it
nothing good.
Is he not okay? Who knows? And again, as like a 10-year-old or whatever reading it, I'm like, okay, I understand the story. Did a book report on it. And there was a lot I still had a lot of questions at the end, and the teacher was like, that's okay.
By design.
Yeah. Did it.
Who is he giving stuff to?
They did. I never saw the movie. I was like, I enjoyed this was one of those ones where I enjoyed the book and didn't hear about the movie until way after they made it. So I was like, I'm gonna leave the movie alone.
Seems reasonable.
It wasn't like The Martian where it was like, I really like this book and this movie's getting hyped, so maybe they'll mesh. But yeah, that was also my window into dystopian novels and crap. So
Ian's number 1 is a duplicate of another series, but it's not The Giver 2, whatever that was called. At least I don't think
Well,
it is.
I think it's
Taker.
oh no, it's
Giverer.
it's something like Gathering Blue.
Give and Giver.
is what the sequel is called.
The Taker.
The Taker.
Oh,
So it's
Fifth one,
gotta
man, take it
be
away.
it's gotta be the Star Wars or another Warhammer book. I don't.
Well-
there's not a second Martian. There's a different. The same guy wrote a different thing, but that's not a series.
I am. So
It could be an
happy
honorable mention
that you're so
for
confused.
the
It
repeat.
could be. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions possibility.
All right, Sean, what's your number 2?
All right. So if Jack
The
had called
Taker.
Brian a nerd for his, I'm gonna get demolished for this one, because when I first got this book, I got it on a discount rack at like Barnes and Nobles or something. I don't remember where I got it, honestly, but I was like, this is kind of heady. This might be fun to read. Let me check this out. And I got it thinking, well, I could put this on my shelf and it'll look good. And I read it and I actually like processed most of it, and that made me like feel really smart. And I was like, oh, I can do this. Anyways,
It's Dune.
my number 2 is A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, all right, you're a nerd.
So it was this book and The Universe in a Nutshell that I looked into, and they were both like incredibly accessible for these very big, heady like topics. And yeah, so this is my one nonfiction on my list, but it was. I actually lost the copies that I had in the flood, so I need to get them again. So I'm considering buying them again. But really cool books. It's mentally taxing, so I don't recommend just doing it lightly. But if you ever want to check them out, they're really cool.
See, for me, quantum physics is essentially fiction.
Fair.
Like it's in that realm of, it's like Clarke's third law. Any sufficiently advanced science is magic. Like it's so far beyond my comprehension individually. I'm glad someone understands it, but
That's why I like this so much, is that I didn't think that I would, but then it's put in ways and terms that are you could understand them. It takes some time, but you could do it. Now, could I like apply myself and do this for the rest of my life? I don't think so. I'm not like a theoretical physicist or anything like that. That's not my mindset. But reading a book casually about it was really neat. So yeah, that's my number 2.
What a fucking nerd.
It's true.
learn
100%.
Using books to learn? What the
Yeah.
shit?
Yeah.
It's wild.
My number 2 was also a learning textbook.
Ooh, I can go get Stephen Hawking books on Audible.
Does he narrate them?
No.
In computer voice.
Not worth it then.
Wow.
Look, the man had the man got a lot of charm and charisma through that antiquated talk box that he refused to upgrade. Like
It's true.
that dude.
Why change perfection?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, hold on. Oh my God, is it actually him? No. So, The Brief History of Time on Audible is written by Stephen Hawking and narrated by Michael Jackson.
But yeah, you have to buy it.
Michael
The-
Jackson?
Yes, the.
Not just a physicist named Michael Jackson.
No, I clicked to be sure. it's
Huh.
unless there's a guy named Michael Jackson who narrates all the Michael Jackson books.
That's I don't know.
I think I need to hear this.
That might not be listenable, man.
What
That might be
in
an
the
abort
world?
mission type of situation.
I'm gonna listen to one of the not demos, but the sample. I'll listen to the sample after we're done here tonight, and I'll let you guys know.
You want
Okay.
a perpetrated pedophile to read you a book written by Stephen Hawking?
Sure, why not?
So funny. Okay. Anyways, I'm sorry. I derailed this a little bit because that was too much.
That's too good.
Honorable mentions. Honorable mentions.
Yes.
So I think we start with Brian again.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We does.
So my honorable mention is technically multiple books, which is why it's
Oh.
honorable mentions. And it is just video game strategy guides.
Oh.
The real MVPs.
Oh, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't make fun of it. Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah,
This is
I mean,
legit.
I don't. So back in the day when GameStop was really pushing to like, would you like to buy the strategy guide? Do you want to buy the strategy guide? Like, that was super annoying, and I wouldn't buy it from GameStop, just like out of principle. But I do like kind of collecting strategy guides for games I like because I like seeing the pictures and stuff.
Picture
And
book.
you do sometimes get unique art and stuff from them, and I don't know.
And it was-
No,
it
this
was
is a great
just-
pick.
It was just such an experience too. Like,
Yeah,
I spent so much time reading like the Warcraft 3 strategy guide and the StarCraft strategy guide, and like I spent a lot of time with those books. So this is a great choice.
There were only a few
Yeah.
that I had, but one of them was the Final Fantasy X strategy guide because I was just like, this is my first JRPG. I'm gonna need help, and I did, and that book was there for me.
I mean, Final Fantasy in particular are my favorite ones, especially the games that use the job class system, because I just like looking at the artistic interpretations of all the job classes from game to game, because they're always a little bit different. Or sometimes, like in Final Fantasy V, when there's the like named characters that change job classes, like each one of them is a little unique with their job class outfit. So yeah, big fan of those. What did you just pull from your shelf, Ark? Yeah, I also really like Zelda strategy guides.
Is that the one that's on the screen?
No.
Oh,
No,
it's
it is
another
a-
Zelda, but
It
it's
is
close.
a
No,
different
that's Link to the
Zelda
Past.
strategy guide.
Yeah, that's Link to the Past on the screen.
So many Zeldos. Yeah, I liked them a lot as like like kind of like you said, art books. They kind of double as a good art book. Show me those game assets. Yeah, and you get stuff like this sweet temple image. Never seen that before.
Yeah. So yeah,
Love
Alright.
it.
video game strategy guides. They're
Good
great.
choice.
I still look at them.
Right.
All right, Ian, what you got? How many you got?
I have 4 honorable mentions.
Jesus, there's a whole other list.
I used to read a lot.
I need you to calm down, Ian.
There was I'm not gonna lie. There used to be a time in my life when I would have a book that I read in bed before falling asleep. I had a book at work for during my breaks, and I had a book in the bathroom for when I was pooping.
For your other breaks.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't that sort of person who would be like, "Oh, I will just read this one book in all 3 locations and just bring it with me." No. So I would.
This is back before electronics.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like many years of technically reading 3 books almost simultaneously. So that's how I got through a lot of the Star Wars backlog when I was younger.
How do you keep them straight?
It got
I'm
difficult.
reading
sometimes.
3 Star Wars books.
I did have to eventually kind of like separate it out. It's like, okay, I will not read 2 Star Wars books at the same time. I gotta have Luke's doing this in this book and this in this book, and like, wait a minute. So to start, It is a Star Wars book, though. It is X-Wing Rogue Squadron, which has nothing to do with the video games. It's a wildly different tack to the than the classic 64 and Cube games that we all love. But it is basically the story of what does Wedge do after the Battle of Endor?
Wedge Antilles?
Wedge Antilles, lead character, and he's just like, let me. We still need an elite ass fighter squadron.
An elite ass.
Let's do it, and they got a lot of elite ass. And it ended up being like a 12-book series, and by the
like
time
Corran Horn.
But yeah, Corran Horn was in it. Tycho, Wes Jansen,
Selchu.
yeah,
Taika Waititi?
like no, not Taika Waititi. That would have been dope though. So this is
Taika
the book,
Selchu.
this is the book series that we're all hoping the Rogue Squadron movie will be based around. Like we want,
I would love that.
we want this book series to be brought to film, or at least nods to it, or just the feel of it. That's what we're hoping for. We'll see if we get it. But this is also just like classic Star Wars that has. It was one of the first Star Wars books that I read that has almost nothing to do with the main cast of the Star Wars movies. It is almost like Wedge and a couple of the Rogue Squadron pilots are like side characters in a couple of the movies, like the
Good
Battle of
shot,
Hoth.
Jansen.
Yeah, like they're in the movies for total of 2 minutes. Luke's not in it. Han's not in it. Chewie, Leia, Vader.
Are there Jedis?
No.
No Jedi.
There are no
Until-
Jedi. Well,
until
Corran
later.
Horn.
Until later. One of them becomes a Jedi, and then he leaves.
Fucks right off to go be a Jedi. Good.
I'm out.
Yeah. And so it's also like, this is also the first great example of no, we have like crazy pilots in the galaxy who don't use the Force. They exist. So that was also just, it was a nice view into the greater universe of Star Wars for me. Second honorable mention, Fahrenheit 451, my second dive into dystopian fiction from school. For some reason, like that was the thing. Like people think reading The Hunger Games was like a revolutionary thing, giving kids dystopian literature. Like, nah, that's been in the curriculum for decades, guys. This is a book about burning books and a future where firemen are literally people who come to your house if you have books and burn it down.
Wow, I hope we never get to that point in real life.
Hope so. Hope that.
Good thing
never
we don't burn
happens.
books.
I will say this is it's bumped down to an honorable mention because the end just kind of falls apart and the book doesn't really end for me. Like it doesn't resolve.
There's one way that the book is supposed to end, and it's to burn that book.
Yeah,
Which-
you burn your copy.
And
And then
it's
the
fun.
ending.
It reveals
the ending is
itself in
spoken
the
to you.
ashes.
Yeah.
In my movie challenge for the year, this is one of the first movies I watched. There was a Fahrenheit 451.
Which I know they've made a couple versions of it. I have not seen any of
The
them.
the most recent one with Michael B. Jordan.
I was.
It was fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, would I say it's worth watching on streaming? Because I'm sure you have the streaming platform that it's on. Yeah. Like, would I have recommended to go see it in the theater or buy it? No.
Okay. Yeah, that's about what I thought. So it was a neat.
Would you buy it on Audible?
No.
So it's a neat book. I liked it. Next honorable mention, the representative for the Dresden Files series. It is Deadbeat by Jim Butcher. It's somewhere in the middle of the series. This particular one, he's fighting necromancers in Chicago, which is great. And the climax of the book, spoilers, is he rides around on a T-Rex skeleton through Chicago. That Dresden Files.
Mhm.
And
It's a card game.
like Sue, the T-Rex from the Chicago Field Museum. He rides around on a reanimated Sue with a polka-playing coroner as a passenger while he's shooting fireballs at necromancers. Like it's a ride. It's an absolute ride. Um, the series gets some weird parts. It's getting the power creep at the stage it's at is getting real. Um, like a lot of the characters are hitting demigod status, so it's like, well, where do we go from here without just someone dying? But this is right in the middle, where things are still interesting. Um, and yeah, a wizard riding a dinosaur skeleton is just an event.
That's pretty cool.
And my last honorable mention, Dune.
Didn't make the top 5?
It
What?
did not make the top 5.
Wow.
You read too much.
I do read.
Yeah.
There was a time where I read too much, which has influenced this entirely.
Go back and take some books off, just out of your mind. Forget them and put Dune back in.
See, I love Dune. I really do. It gets bumped down a bit because it is just so dense. It requires multiple.
Dense Dune.
It requires multiple readings to fully comprehend. And I mean, I liked it enough that I did it. I don't know how many times I've read it. And it also loses some pegs because of all of the side stories around it. Like a lot of the stuff that Frank Herbert's son and Kevin J. Anderson have written since Frank Herbert's death go in weird directions because they're all based on like Frank Herbert's like notes that didn't make the cut for Dune. So it's just stuff on cocktail napkins. It's like, what if there were robots who ran away into space and then chased a bunch of super horny women back and they took over the universe? And then the robots came back. It's just like, what does this have to do with sandworms? Like, seriously.
Gotta get that spice.
Gotta get that spice. But yeah, the original Dune book, I had to look long and hard. That was the cover of the paperback that my dad owns, that I borrowed to read so many times. Some mid-'80s paperback edition of it. Yeah. So there
I
you go,
knew
Sean.
nothing of this book, of any of the series or anything like that. I knew they existed, and I knew this phrase, "the spice must flow." And then I saw the most recent Dune movie, and it actually inspired me to maybe go and read this book. So
it's a read. They naturally had to leave a lot of stuff out, even though they're splitting the book into 2 movies. There's a lot of exposition, which in a book is fine. You know, it's just like, yeah, okay, I'll read this to fully understand what happens later. In a movie, though, you don't want all that crap just narrated to you all the time.
All right, so that's all yours?
That's all mine.
All right, I've got 2.
All right.
Hit me with one. I don't know which order you're gonna have them in.
I'm gonna do hmo2sean.png.
Lord of the
You know what that is?
HM02.
Yep,
That is. No, I don't. I didn't duplicate on any of mine. So Neil deGrasse Tyson is whenever anybody asks like, oh, who would you want to have dinner with, dead or alive? It's always Neil deGrasse Tyson. I love this man. This guy is so fucking smart and funny, and I would love to meet him. And Death by a Black Hole is just such an easy, accessible read. Just talking about some of the different concepts of physics and how if you were to fall into a black hole, how would you actually die? And you'd die via spaghettification. That's the scientific term that they came up with. Because you would be stretched and split in 2, and then stretched and split in 2 until you're eventually just a single stream of atoms falling into a black hole. That's spaghettification. So seems it's just such a fun. I want to say whimsical because it's not that, but it's just a fun scientific read. And he's done a lot of different books like this. But this is the one that I remember the most. Another one that I went out and actually grabbed like as soon as it came out because I was like, I need to read this now. And my other one, I just told Ark any random book from this series because I don't remember a lot about them, but I do remember that I was really into them.
Goosebumps.
No, Goosebumps is another good choice, but think that age, but sci-fi.
Morphs.
It's Animorphs.
Nice.
Because when I first saw those stupid covers with a real person and a relatively real animal, and then the transition between the two, I was like, oh my god, I need to read these.
What is this horrible amalgam in the middle every time?
And this is
It was
Tell me more about this uncanny
groundbreaking
valley.
at the
Yeah.
time.
this was the series, the first books that I remember being like, Mom, I need them all. Buy me more. And they were just I don't remember much about them. I remember that there were like earwig things that went in and they controlled people. And then I remember that they like at the
lore got really deep.
Oh, it did, yeah.
Yeah.
And at like the end of the first book, they're like trying to sneak into a facility, and like that's about all I remember. But I do remember having such an affinity for these books, so they had to at least make the honorable mention.
I used to always get obsessed with looking at the covers and staring at the faces of around the second or third faces into the morph, and just like seeing the combination of the animal face and the human face.
Well, and sometimes they just like, I'm looking at the cover for the first book in the series, The Invasion.
The one with the lizard?
Yeah, the one with the lizard. Because
literally what I'm linking now.
It just jumps from like a human kid to just a lizard kid.
Oh, wait.
Like the transition is just like bleep, bleep. It's just not.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Wait, it's in chat now.
Yeah.
But yeah, ever since I first saw that, I was like, oh my god. So that's my first like dive into sci-fi. So,
oh man, the one where the girl turns into a starfish is ridiculous.
Yeah, like.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like we laughed, but we were all obsessed with these stupid books.
I never read these, but
no. Oh,
I never read them.
Ow.
This kid turning into a horse is pretty good.
I never saw the starfish one. Holy shit!
I do like you. Yeah, even if you never remember them, you definitely remember seeing them in the school library.
I remember the horse
or
one.
those brochures of like the book club orders.
Oh, yeah.
I would always look for the Animorphs one just to see what animal they're turning into.
Everything changes, but not quite like this. ...
And I feel like the technology, like to morph the images together, did improve over the course of the book's publication. But they were just like, no, we're committed to the bit. We're just going to do it the same way we always have. We're not going to spend a little more time on this to make it less weird. Just embrace the center.
Even when
Wait, did they start morphing into adults?
No.
Wait, what is this? Hold on.
No way. One turns into a spider, which is screwed
Apparently, this is book number 41. I didn't know there were that many.
Oh yeah.
That's
I forget when I stopped reading. But it wasn't to the end. I can't say. I like how even after like it became a TV show and they had like an actual cast, they still just kept doing it with just child models with the book covers.
Look at the one that I put in our Facebook chat. I'm pretty sure that's clearly a kid morphing into an adult.
Yes, it is.
I'm pretty sure that like some of the old Jedi Apprentice books that are like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon as apprentices at various times, pretty sure they used this Animorph photo technology to like de-age like Anakin into like a kid.
I think so.
Or like Anakin from Jake Lloyd to Hayden Christensen.
Yeah, they just kind of
pretty sure they would use that age. Yeah, and then like they would just use that picture for the cover of the book.
Oh,
look some of those up.
Ooh.
All right, so that's my two honorable mentions. Ark, what you got?
Yeah, he's just turning into an adult human. What the
That's just
That's like
yeah. Is that
that's just growing up. That's not fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's not
Yeah.
transformation. That's just aging.
I just got older.
It just took me. No,
I-
it's transformation, guys. It just took me a long time.
Everyone
The slow
watch me
burn.
age.
Wait,
Watch
wait,
me
wait.
transform in real time to a 40-year-old.
Do you know what this means? It means we're all animorphs.
We're all Animorphs?
We're all
Yeah.
Animorphs. We did it.
We won.
shit.
All right.
Oh man. I don't know if we won.
Eh,
I won.
close enough. I'll take it. You know, like
I'm one of the
Oh,
handsome
God.
ones. I won. Okay. Yeah, books. Okay, right. The book that I chose for my honorable mention, of which there is only one, is Fast Food Nation by Eric Schlosser. Schlosser? Yeah.
Nation?
Fast Food
Yeah.
Nation, the dark side of the all-American meal. And it's about the supply chains behind everyone's favorite fast food joints. It was
I remember. I read this. I remember
yeah,
reading
it was a
this.
big deal when it came out. And they made a movie out of it, I guess, or whatever. But yeah, this was another high school find, and I had a library edition of the book.
Mm.
I think I took it out from the library at school, and they're like, "Do you want to just keep this?" And I said, "Yeah." So, yeah, mine's a library book. Pretty great. I wore the binding out. I really enjoyed it. I marked it up when I read it. And I was like, surely this will make me rethink my eating habits. It did not, but you know, yeah, it's just a really just like doesn't pull any punches about describing the worst of the food supply chain.
Mm. Yep. It's a good choice. I'd
Yeah.
completely forgotten about it.
And it also made me realize that things that are just like, kind of journalism style books was like, oh, those can be interesting. Yeah, it turns out the topic's interesting. Yeah.
Yep,
So-
absolutely.
For nerds.
All right. Ian, number one.
well,
It's got to be Star Wars. You don't like Warhammer that much.
Star Wars Hammer.
Starhammer.
Starhammer.
Starhammer
Oh, man.
Wars.
Somebody just combined StarCraft and Warhammer like they were always meant to be combined. Okay, like just could someone do that for me?
I mean, that's pretty much what they're trying to do.
Yeah, like the Zerg are the Tyranids, the humans are the Space Marines and the Guard, like the Protoss are the Eldar. Like, just friggin' do it, okay? Just please. Anyway, my number one is part of a series. It is the second book in that series, and it is my absolute favorite in that series. It is a series that has touched
So-
many of us. But
Is this a duplicate?
It is
Or not a duplicate. This is another in a series that you've already talked about.
It is not.
Oh,
It is
I
a
wonder
series
if our
I have
number
not
twos are
talked about.
our number ones the same?
Maybe.
Oh,
I doubt it.
there's a
It's-
chance.
But maybe.
Because mine is also the second book in a series. Oh,
The Two Towers.
It is the Two Towers.
no,
Speci-
never mind.
Get
Specifically,
wrecked.
this copy of the Two Towers.
Ooh.
This very copy.
That one right there.
This yellow ass fragile paperback. What is the printing on this? God. Do. 58th printing, October 1977. This book was
Jesus.
printed a decade before I was born, and originally belonged to my mother. And yeah, this
And
was.
then I stole it.
And I stole it. No, I mean, it was on my bookshelf when I moved out, So it's just like, hey, Mom, you want any of these? No? Great.
Perfect. My 13-year plan has come to fruition.
Exactly. So
Why that copy?
What?
What is it about that copy? Because your mother owned it?
Nostalgia.
Well, yeah, this, I'll never let this go, because this was the book that I read when I was a child. After my parents read The Hobbit to me, and they were like, you want to read more? And I was like, yeah. They handed me this printing of the Lord of the Rings trilogy and told me to get at it. And so yeah, this was one of the first books that I'd ever well, second because I read Fellowship first. But it was just one of the first books that I'd sat down and tried to read on my own, like a big boy chapter book. And it stuck with me, and so much that I kept the damn book. And it's the Two Towers specifically out of the three, because
I think that's fair.
it is the shortest, it is the thinnest, and it is definitely the most action-packed. Like, there's not a lot of, oh, what will happen? We need to debate, and there will be councils of the wise and things. And it's just like, yes, there's a lot of great exposition and beautiful world building, but the world's already been built. We know what's happening. Saruman's dick now. That sucks.
Wow, spoilers.
What?
What? May I remind
dare!
you, this copy was written in 1977. You had time.
You said
This-
you read The Hobbit.
2 generations of Andersons read this before you.
Spoiler.
This paperback has been handed down the Anderson line for generations.
Generations.
Two generations.
Literally 2. I'm not having kids, so that's where it stops.
That's where it's gonna end. You gotta have a nephew or niece somewhere. You gotta pass it to.
Oh sure, yeah. No, I got a niece. I got a nephew coming.
Yeah, Anna's gonna
so-
be a nerd if we can help it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like if it's within our power, that little girl will be a nerd.
I believe in you.
You will be nerdified.
And yeah, like it's just I love the middle part of a series because it's got to pick up on all the cool stuff that happened at the end of the first one, but it's gonna leave a bunch of stuff open for the third. It's like Empire. It's one of the reasons why
The Empire
Empire's great.
effect.
Like yeah, like
I was talking about that very thing to a coworker today.
it's
The Empire Strikes Back cliffhanger
it's the
effect.
it knows where it's got to go, and it knows where it's been. So it's got this to fill, and it's gonna do it. And then and this gives us the Ents, and like Treebeard, one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise. Like, what happens when you piss off a tree? Lots.
It will F up your day.
So yeah, I will actually.
Well, ding, because one of my few predictions was Ian would pick a Lord of the Rings book.
It's fair.
Nerd.
It's a fair guess.
Yeah, pretty easy.
All right, my number
All right,
one.
Sean.
John.
So yours is the second in a series.
So mine is the second in a series. So let's go back to young Sean land. For
The
various
second
reasons,
Dune book.
I had just moved to Fort Fairfield, Northern Maine, like
Oh wow, you lived in Fort
far
Fairfield?
away for
Whoa.
a couple times actually. I was born up that way.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Dang, son.
I for various reasons in 6th grade, I moved up north, and it wasn't even so like real long story. It wasn't even with my dad. It was with somebody else, and it was a whole thing. But I felt completely isolated. I was up in the middle of nowhere, essentially by myself. It was a rough time, and
Fort Fairfield is a very boring place.
it really is. And so I really dove into books. That's where I did the Hobbit thing, and that's where I found this book. And so I went to the library and I was looking for books, and the librarian was like, "What are you looking for?" And I was like, "Oh, something with an adventure, blah blah blah." And she pointed this book out, and this was the second in the series, and this is where I started because the first one was taken out by somebody else. And I was like, "Well, I'm going to read this anyways." And so I read it, and I fell in love with this world. And I eventually went back and read the first book, read the second book a second time, read the third book, and I even read the fourth book that came out like 10 years later. And this is a much more expansive than just this little tiny series. But my number one is, let me get the exact wording right because I don't want to F this up.
Dune.
Dragons of Winter's Night by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman.
Oh, it's a Dragonlance book. Okay,
This is
yes.
the second of the like primary Dragonlance series, and this has that Empire Strikes Back thing in the middle where you're right. There's just a lot of stuff going on. It doesn't have to set up anything from the first book, or it doesn't have to like do anything setup wise like the first book, and doesn't have to pay everything off like the third. It's just such a great read, and it's one of those ones that I probably am going to go back to soon and redo that series because it's so goddamn good. But yeah, this more than almost anything is what like molded me into who I am. My love for the main, not I want to say the main character, but the main guy that I identify with is a friggin' paladin with a sword and board. Like it's just what I do. So it's a great series. If you haven't checked it out, highly recommend. Very easy reads. They were 14s, so yeah, great time. Love those books.
Ever
When we talked about this, that's what I knew was going to be number one. I knew that immediately.
Never dove into the Dragonlance series because, like, by the time I got around to learning about it, I was like, how many books is it?
Yeah, if you just do the 4, it's like Autumn's Twilight, Winter's Night, Spring's something, and then there's a summer one that comes like 15 years later.
Summer Flame.
Summer Flame. That one is not as essential as the first 3, but it does pay off some stuff. So if you want to just ignore the rest of the universe, sort of like a Star Wars thing or the Warhammer thing, I went and actually got all 3 of those audiobooks for the one you were talking about. The
Soul Hunter series. Yeah.
The Soul Hunter series, yeah. If you just want to do a little isolated series, just the autumn, winter, spring. Great series.
Sweet.
For those who play a lot of D&D, Dragonlance is a D&D setting. Sometimes.
It is.
So
sometimes, and sometimes when there's not like laws being flipped around, it's all kinds of wacky stuff.
Funny that Ian said that he was afraid of like the volume of books in this because aren't you working through Wheel of Time?
No. Well, see, here's the thing. I finished the Wheel of Time.
Okay.
Because I knew that it was ending. A lot of the big series that I've read, I got in on the ground floor or close enough to the ground floor that I was just reading them when they came out. Like, like the Vector Prime series, that was book 1, and I bought it, and then I bought the next one, so forth when they came out. Same with all the Warham's books that I read. I read most of the Horus Heresy books because they were new at the time, and then eventually I was like, they're never gonna do it. They're never gonna friggin' fight at the end like they gotta, so I'm gonna stop reading. And now there's too many for me to jump back into, so no. A series that's already big frightens me. A series that has the chance to get big, not so bad. Anyway, what's your number 1?
Me?
Yeah, Ark.
You want
Ark.
me to tell you my number 1?
Yeah.
My number 1 is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Nice.
This was a favorite growing up. I read it in middle school. One of my friends read it with me. She called me Ford. I called her Arthur. That joke stuck for
A long
way
time.
too many years. Yep. We were both really into the series, and it's the same kind of thing. It's just that humor out of absurdity sort of thing. It's also neat because like since it was already a classic when I picked it up, it was really it was neat to find other people who had read it, and always a good conversation piece. Talking about the series, talking about how the last book maybe isn't as good as it could be, all the things. But yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide, solid stuff.
Super
So-
good choice.
When Ian was talking about this, like shotgunning a book, like the day of, like you're gonna go see it. The reason I said Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is because I knew it could be done because I did it.
Oh, really? You were that guy.
Yeah,
You
it's
were
a short
projecting
book.
onto Ian. Yeah.
Yeah, my friends were like, "We're gonna go see it tonight." And I was like, "Oh, I've never read it," and I was at work, and so I started reading it on my breaks, and then I finished it. Like, took me like another half hour or something after I finished my my shift while I was waiting to go to the movie. But yeah, very amusing book.
Oh yeah.
I'm jealous of people who can read fast. I just the slowest reader. That's why I don't read as much as I wish I did, because I just I don't know. I'm not an efficient reader somehow.
Really
No.
depends on the author and the book. Like I said, I love Dune, but that business is dense. Like I'm a pretty fast reader, and and it's still like, all right, I got to reread this page.
Yeah.
What?
Slow down.
What happened?
You what, mate?
What system of commerce has just been explained?
Yep.
Nerd commerce.
All right, Brian, take us home.
All right. I don't think you guys are gonna guess it, because it's not like a super popular book or anything. It's not on par with Lord of the Rings or Dune or anything like that.
I don't get to guess because I already know what this is, but I did choose the sickest cover I could find of this.
Sweet.
So I hope you appreciate it.
Is it the yellow one? There's some
There's
ridiculous
yellow and
covers
there's
of
red.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the most it's the most ridiculous one I could find on page 1 of the results.
Okay. So he's more, the author is Piers Anthony. He's more known for the Xanth series. But my favorite book of all time that I've reread a bunch of times is On a Pale Horse. So this is his Incarnations of Immortality series. Oh yeah. So that's a picture of his horse.
That's a car.
So
And
yes.
there's a skeleton driving it. It's so good.
Yeah. So that's a sweet car. So in the book, the reason I love this series, but this book is definitely the best one, is it mashes up fantasy and sci-fi really well. And so there's magic in this world. Like one of the first chapters, they talk about competing ad campaigns of cars versus flying carpets. And there's like a billboard war going on between them. Like one depicts people stuck in traffic while the flying carpet goes over it. And then another one is it's raining outside, and the flying carpet people are miserable, but the people in the car are happy because they have a roof over their heads and stuff like that. So there's that battling campaign. So this whole idea is there are 5 incarnations of immortality: death, time, fate, war, and nature. And instead of them being gods, they're jobs that mortals can resume, and then they gain immortality while they have the job. So the main character, Death, his name's Zane. He becomes Death because he decides he's going to commit suicide with a gun, and then he sees Death walk in, and so he decides to shoot Death in the face. And then
Oh wow.
because he kills Death, he becomes Death.
Sure.
Whoops.
And he gains all his accoutrements. So he's got this magic cloak that makes him appear like a skeleton when he's wearing it. He gets the scythe. He gets a horse that can turn into a car, and the car can fly. The horse can also run on water and stuff like that, or turn into a boat. So yeah, he usually drives it around because it's the modern day ish of the 80s. So he's usually driving it around as a car. And the license plate says Mortis. because that's the horse's name. I really loved the book. It's got cheeky humor, an interesting application of this mythology into a modern-ish magic sci-fi world. Yeah, it's awesome, and I would recommend it.
So, two things. That sounds three things. One, that sounds awesome. Two, they need to make a flying carpet with a roof, convertible flying carpet.
Mhm.
Clearly. And three, yeah, I'm looking up the covers for this, and there's some stuff that's definitely like ripe for paperback paradise. Like this, it's like there's like a semi-romance novel covers and covers with cars, and this is amazing.
Oh yeah,
The different
I'm looking at
editions
some of them
this,
too.
Like,
Yeah. So if you've ever seen the show, what's that show where the kid is deaf? It's like, and like Mandy Patinkin's in it.
The kid is dead.
No, they're deaf. It's not surviving death. It's something like Pushing Daisies, but it's not Pushing Daisies or Surviving Death.
like Dead
It's,
Like Me.
Dead Like Me. Yeah, that show was inspired by this book.
Okay.
Where like a bunch of people are like collecting souls and stuff. So he has to like go and collect souls and stuff. And it's, I don't know. I was pretty edgelordy, like goth emo.
No.
When I was in middle school. So yeah, I was obsessed with the Grim Reaper, and this funny book about the Grim Reaper was my favorite book, and it still is.
Nice. It's a fun choice.
Yeah. Sorry, Jekka. I see it now. Dead Like Me, which is a great series.
So yeah, Ian, someday we gotta.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like the Dresden Files, like there was a phase where it had a lot of like spin-off stuff. Like there was an RPG they made, there's the card game, they had a TV show for a bit. But that was like a lot of that stuff was like 8 books ago. So I've always been kind of curious about like what's the subject matter even like. I'm dying to know.
Cool. Well, that's a pretty solid list overall, I think.
Yeah.
Zero overlap.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost
We have series overlap. But
yeah, we've got Hobbit to Two Towers like series, but that's about it.
See, I was gonna say, like, I actually, I only had 2 predictions. One of them ended up being wrong. One of them ended up being right. The one that was wrong was I said that only one person would vote for a Tolkien book. Just thinking with this group, I didn't think it was a particularly Lord of the Rings-y group, but I forgot about The Hobbit, which so many people have read, even if they never read The Lord of the Rings. So there's that. So I was happily wrong there because Sean voted for The Hobbit. I did say I was going to be the only one to vote for a Warhammer book. So check that one off.
I had 3. So I guess that Ian would pick a Lord of the Rings book. I thought at least one other person was going to pick a Lord of the Rings book, and I thought somebody else was going to pick a D&D book. But
I think that me picking Hobbit's close enough to that, so I'd give you points for that.
I'd agree.
Sweet.
And I mean, if we're picking a D&D book, like if we want to count the Dragonlance novels as D&D books, legally not.
That's stretching. We'll see what did everybody else gets.
My only prediction, because this was so broad, was that all 4 of us would have a non-fiction book on our list, and Ian did not allow that.
I don't read a lot of nonfiction in general.
Yeah. I just figured that it would get there because, like, even with the player's handbook and game guides, those would have both counted. So
Ark did pick 2 though. Does that count?
no, I didn't say 4. I said we would all do it. So,
But it's in Ian's household.
you got
I'm
a point.
trying to remember what the last nonfiction book I read was. It's been a while. I had a phase where I read a bunch of stuff on Pink Floyd, so there was definitely a book about Pink Floyd that I've read. That was certainly a nonfiction book, but it's been a minute.
So Ark, I know technically you can't guess because you fielded the book covers, but was there anything you thought one of us would pick that we did or didn't?
Were you surprised by anything?
I didn't have any huge expectations going into this, just because I don't read much myself. I was just like, I don't know what people read. What are people reading? What are books? I did expect that I wouldn't know much about the books that came up, and I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just kind of exists in pop culture that I have a general awareness of, and anything adapted to a movie. So it wasn't all that bad. And then Brian threw that curveball with that book from the 1700s, which is pretty rad.
Make that a movie. Study of counterpoint.
That's Amadeus, right? That's the movie adaptation.
Yep.
That's it. That's
Rock
the
me,
one.
Amadeus. Sweet. I think that's it then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We covered it. We did it.
I think, the only thing that surprised me is there's not there are, actually, trying to think about, there are a fair amount of books on here that ended up being movies or TV shows in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like arguably all but the not like.
All but
yeah,
the
I think A
Flash.
Riot of Our
Yeah.
Own is the only one in my list that didn't get some kind of video adjacent adaptation.
Yeah.
Like Once Upon a Time in North specifically, maybe not. I don't know what the
But
new series covers, but
the franchise did.
the franchise did, yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well,
All
good
right.
list, everybody.
Twas.
Yeah.
Twas
Our next stream is Monday. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna Dungeons and Dragon on Monday.
We'll bring
as long
Tom
as everyone
back.
can
We're
make
gonna
it.
do it.
Yep.
Oh yeah, everyone has at least one on their list that has become a movie or show.
Do we?
Or specifically a movie. Because Girl with All the Gifts, Martian, Hobbit.
Yep.
And then good old
Yeah. Good.
Lion, Witch, and the
Guide.
Wardrobe, Hitchhiker's Guide. Yeah.
Yep.
I think Ark has actually the most.
Yeah.
it's
Most
got
of my stuff
Yeah.
saw an adaptation at some point.
Yeah.
Hitchhiker's Guide was fun because there was a lot of they had a TV series back in the 80s, and the movie adaptation that happened in the 2000s was
right.
pretty good.
2 adaptations.
It's just so true.
And a radio version.
Right.
But anyway,
Well, that's how
yeah.
it started. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody,
Did it.
for watching. This was a lot of fun. It's nice to get back in the saddle, as it were. Yeah. So yeah, come and watch us on Monday. Monday. I guess we're doing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that feels good to lead back. I guess we're doing ears now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will be here on Monday, playing some D&D, and then probably Tuesday also playing some D&D.
Wow.
So do enjoy that. And until next time, enjoy whatever the next stream you watch is. I'm probably gonna go to bed. But until then,
Do it.
everybody, hope you have a nice night and a nice time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.